All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number one. That is right, week number one of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and what we are going to do in this video is a course overview for week one. This is the summer of 2026, and this is going to be the first of the weekly check-in videos, which I record. They are optional, however, and I'll get into that a little bit in a few minutes here, a little bit more in a few minutes here. But what I want to say is these videos are optional, but some students find them helpful and they find them an engaging way to stay connected to the professor and that sort of thing. So if you think that might apply to you, then you may be one of the ones who wants to watch the check-in videos. Otherwise, you don't have to. But anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and we're going to get into that course overview in just a few moments, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to speed up a YouTube video because I am a Southerner and we Southerners, we talk slow, and you might have already noticed that I talk slow myself. Well, if you can't deal with the slowness of how I speak, then one thing that might help is if you speed up the check-in videos if you do want to watch them. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Then you can go ahead and speed this video up if you haven't already, and from there we can go ahead with the course overview. So let's get into it with showing you how to speed up a YouTube video. All right, so again, I talk slow, and so if you want to go ahead and speed up one of these check-in videos, usually if you speed them up to 1.5 speed, you can still understand everything that I'm saying. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I upload these videos into YouTube, and so here's how that works. So let's say that I've got this YouTube video here.
Is really beneficial to you. So we'll do this again.
So
jab, cross, hook, step, and open.
That, as you can see, is a normal speed. If you ever want to speed one of these up, what you can do is you can go to, well, first of all, click this little settings icon here. And then what you can do is go to playback speed. And like I said, you can usually speed me up to a 1.5 and still understand everything that I'm saying. But it gets you through the video faster, and it's actually easier also to retain what I say when I'm speaking a little quicker on your end. So this would be the way to do it. Go to 1.5 speed, and as you can see now,
all right, then jab, cross, hook.
So now he's like moving really
then
fast.
Jab, cross, hook, step, and open. Okay,
and you can notice the difference between
and you can
that
mix in any type of combination that you want. So if you want to, you can throw jab, cross, hook, knee, and then step. Or you can throw jab, uppercut, switch knee, and then step back.
All right.
Or you can go jab, cross, elbow.
So that's how that works. And I will say, because some students in the past have also just kind of wondered why does he even upload the videos into YouTube anyway. There are two reasons. One reason is it's an access and storage issue. And so when they're in YouTube, then that's a way for me to have them accessible to pretty much anybody in the class who needs them without having to go through any sort of hoops and hurdles through the university storage. But then also the university storage is limited. So there you go with that. But the second reason is it's a accessibility compliance issue for people with disabilities. If somebody needs captions, YouTube has come a long way with their auto captioning feature. And so, yes, you can click the closed captions icon, which is here if you want to watch these and you decide that you need the closed captions or something like that to help you retain the information and follow along. You can click the closed captions button there and it will auto caption, and YouTube just does just as good due to AI, which is the thing. But yes, YouTube does just as good a job with generating closed captions as pretty much anything else that would be at my disposal at this point in time. So that is why they appear there. Okay, so now that we have gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this course overview. This is going to be a very long video. Usually the videos are going to be probably between 25 and 45 minutes, but this one, unfortunately, so speed it up and take breaks as you need to. In fact, I will tell you when there are logical times to take breaks. But yeah, this one is probably going to approach about 2 hours because it is an overview of the entire course, okay? But check-in videos in the future are just going to be like state of the course updates, and then also me telling you either about assignments that are upcoming or telling you about different databases or something like that. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and actually take a break right now, and then we will get into beginning the course overview with a syllabus overview. All right, go ahead, take a break, meet me back. All right. So again, I hope you have selected that button to, or selected that speed to speed me up by now. And so we are going to go ahead and start this course overview. There are going to be several elements to the course overview. But the first thing, of course, that we'll do is go over the syllabus. After we go over the syllabus, we'll go into assignments and then go from there. And we will have a little break between the syllabus and the assignments portion. This will probably take about 20 to 25 minutes of me going over the syllabus. But yes, so go ahead and speed me up, and we are going to start on this right now. So we're going to make me small here, and we are going to show you this syllabus. So this is, again, the summer of 2026. The syllabus may change with notice. So when I say the syllabus may change with notice, what I do mean by that is if I make any adjustments to the syllabus now that this class has started, if I make any adjustments to the syllabus, I will also send out an announcement saying that a change has been made, and I will explain what that change is. That way, the syllabus does act as kind of a contract. So you need to, when you take this class, you do agree to abide by what the syllabus says. And so, yes, if there are going to be any alterations to the syllabus, which I do reserve the right as the professor to alter the syllabus, but if I'm going to do that, then I also need to be able to explain to you what changes I've made and why I made them, and I am happy to do that. So, okay, let's go ahead and scroll down and get into it. First of all, about this course. The class description, we will talk about the principles, developments, and trends within reference services, reference service organization, and print and online reference sources. This will also include an overview of information needs and information searching, which, by the way, we're going to get that out of the way pretty early when it comes to information seeking behavior. You're going to see as we go into the modules that there are basically 2 weeks, and I'll explain also how weeks work in a few minutes, but there are 2 weeks of quote unquote information seeking behavior that we have to deal with, okay? And we're going to deal with it, and it's going to be something that you might be very much into, but it's not something that I'm really into like that. So that's why I get it out of the way early, especially with summer classes. But yeah, we will speak about that in a few moments, but it is stuff that the American Library Association requires ALA accredited programs to teach, because the American Library Association, in order for them to grant ALA accreditation, they want they want programs to teach certain competencies to all of the students that are coming through. And so one of those competencies does include some general understanding of information seeking behavior. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down. First of all, let's get into who I am. I'm going to talk a little bit more toward the end, a little bit more about who I am. So right now, we're just going to give the basic instructor information. I am Dr. Jace, or Dr. Jason Alston. I have the rank of associate teaching professor. My email address is austinj@missouri.edu. I also, I'm not in the physical office that much, but if you need to reach out to me, then by phone, you can always try to, and the number is area code 816-235-1875. We can do office hours by appointment. My office is actually not on the main campus of Mizzou. It's actually at UMKC, which is in Kansas City. And the reason for that is because I do, or at least I used to work specifically with Western Missouri students as far as advisees. Now my advisees are all over the place, and I don't mind that at all. But if you need to meet with me in person or want to meet with me in person and you're in the Kansas City area, we can set up an appointment. My office is in the library at UMKC. All right, so course overview. Let's be over there. Okay, so course overview. One of the primary tasks of librarianship is locating information and making it available to people who are seeking that information. This course gives you the experience using some of the principal tools for seeking information and the criteria necessary to evaluate those tools. So for printed reference books, subscription databases, and the open web, those are all things that you're going to use for reference service in your librarianship career. And so you need to be able to have some familiarity with what these sources are, how to evaluate them, make sure they're trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. And so this course and the reading material should help you with that. You'll learn about the reference interview as well, also about search strategies and search strategies to use with reference tools, library use instruction, what I mean by that is basically doing like a lot of times, especially if you're an academic librarian, then what you're going to do is you are also a lot of times going to lead library instructions where you teach people in a classroom how to use the various library resources and that sort of thing that apply to what they are doing, usually for an assignment. If you're in the public library, that'll be different, but still a lot of public libraries have librarians that give speeches and presentations to the general public on doing things like job searches and that sort of thing, okay? Um, and then also how reference services are being reorganized. We are going to touch on that as well, but that is something that is rapidly evolving right now due to AI. And so, quite frankly, I don't dive into that a lot right now because that is so rapidly changing and I don't want to expose you to too much. It's just going to be obsolete in 2 to 3 years because we don't really know how AI is changing the information landscape right now. The primary goal of this course is to introduce you to basic reference services and sources found in libraries and information centers and to acquaint you with the history and philosophies of reference resources, services, and management. Okay, so all right. Now, as far as student learning outcomes, and the reason, by the way, that the student learning outcome thing is important is for the time being, at least, and I think it will probably be the case by the time most of you all are in your final semester. But for the time being, you all are going to be responsible for creating an e-portfolio in your final semester of the program. And when you create your e-portfolio, one thing that you are going to have to do is provide at least 3 assignments for each of the student learning outcomes. So there are 4 student learning outcomes, or what we call SLOs. And with each one of these, you're going to have preferably one. You're going to have 3 total assignments for each student learning outcome. So that's going to be 12 total assignments. But you're going to generally want to have only 1 assignment per class. So for each student learning outcome. So let me explain that a little better. So let's say you're concentrated on student learning outcome number 4, which is the student learning outcome that is most applicable to this class. First of all, I'll read what that is. Graduates will be able to assess community needs, formulate plans to respond to users of information agencies, and instruct users in using informational resources. Every single major assignment that you have in this class corresponds with student learning outcome number 4. So what I mean by that is you're going to have 3 assignments in your e-portfolio that correspond with student learning outcome number 4. And generally, you're only going to want to have one, for any particular class, you're only going to want to have one assignment for that particular student learning outcome. So with SLO number 4, yes, pretty much any, well, not pretty much, any major assignment that you have in this class does qualify as a SLO 4 assignment. However, you're supposed to really only use one reference assignment for student learning outcome number 4. So being aware of this means that, yeah, you will save at least one of your assignments from this class to use for student learning outcome number 4, but then also just be aware that your other 2 assignments need to come from other classes. So if that doesn't make sense, go ahead and reach out to me and say, Dr. J, that didn't quite make sense. Can you clarify that for me? But yes, almost every single student that comes through this program has one of their student learning outcome 4 assignments as one of their reference assignments fulfilling that student learning outcome number 4. So yeah, save at least one of the assignments that you do in this class in order to include it in your e-portfolio for student learning outcome number 4. All right. Okay, so yes, with all that said, you will see that the assignments in this course generally they all correspond with student learning outcome number 4. Some people would make the case that your semester-long project also corresponds to student learning outcome number 3, but that really just depends on who's grading student learning outcome number 3 for the e-portfolio at that time. If it's me that's grading it, then yeah, it will, but if it's one of the other professors, it's kind of hit or miss. Now, I will say I grade student learning outcome number 4 every single semester. Okay, so when I see one of these reference assignments pop up there, I already know, yeah, that's one of the things I recommended. That's fine, and it is going to pull through as long as your essay does tie, because you'll have to write an essay for your e-portfolio as well, and your student learning outcome number 4 essay, as long as that ties things back to this particular, as long as it ties your assignment back to the actual verbiage of the student learning outcome, you're going to be just fine and handy and dandy. All right, so as far as major assignments, there are four, count them, four major assignments in this class, and they correspond with different course goals. There are four course goals in this class, and you will see that there is an assignment that corresponds with every single course goal. So the first course goal, and these don't go in order of when the assignments are due, but they are ranked pretty much in what I feel are the importance of the different course goals. So the one that I found to be most important is students are able to use tools that communicate information effectively to the public, and the LibGuide assignment corresponds with that. I will show you when we talk about assignments, because I will talk about assignments next. The LibGuide is going to be, if you don't know what a LibGuide is, I'll explain what that is, and you will have a LibGuide that's going to be due, that you're going to create, that's going to be due in July. Not student learning outcome. Course goal number 2, students are aware of information-seeking habits and are able to adapt their communication to meet the needs of the public. The Wikipedia edit assignment is going to correspond with that course goal. Course goal number 3, students can use common online platforms to complete a thorough reference interview. Virtual reference practice and report is going to correspond with that one. And then finally, the last course goal is students are able to use and evaluate reference materials and find the answers to factual questions, and the semester-long project is going to correspond with that. All right, so like I said, we will go into a little more detail about those individual assignments when we get to the assignments tab, but let's go ahead and get through the syllabus. Assignments are all, by the way, all written assignments, which when I say written assignments, really it's two assignments. That's going to be the Wikipedia edit assignment and the virtual reference practice and report. They need to be written in essay style, and they need to follow APA style, okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about APA next week in next week's check-in video, but one of the things I don't want you all to do is, quite frankly, I can't stand when people try to turn in Q&A style. People don't like reading Q&A, and Q&A is very lazy. And it makes things longer than they have to be, because a lot of people want to get as much information as they can when reading nonfiction. They want to get as much information as they can in as few words to read as possible. And so when you do Q&A, no, it's not interesting to read. It doesn't show that you can segue from one point to the next and all that thing. So no, do not use Q&A in this class. You will have points deducted. They do need to be in essay style and not Q&A style. All right. As far as due dates and points, you get 100 possible points within this course. And so the due dates, you do have a syllabus quiz. That syllabus quiz is going to count for 5 points, and that needs to be done by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. There is a grace period, so it's not like I'm just waiting at my computer and saying, hey, if you don't get it in by 12:01, I'm going to take points off. No, that's not how I do. As long as it's there by the time I wake up in the morning on Monday, you're fine. But with the exception of the semester-long project, everything is due on a Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. And that's just a way to kind of keep things consistent, keep things on task for you, so that you don't have to keep guessing, oh, is it due then? Is it due when? Just remember, with the exception, again, of the semester-long project, which is the last thing that you're going to turn in, everything is going to be due on Sunday night around midnight, okay? So the syllabus quiz, and you'll be ready to take the syllabus quiz actually as soon as you finish this video. That is going to be worth 5 points. There is a database unassignment, and we will come to that. That's going to be worth 10 points, and that will be due a week from this coming Sunday, so it'll be due on June the 21st around midnight time. The virtual reference practice paper, we're going to come back to that, and you all need to go ahead and do your introductory post, which I see quite a few of you have done your introductory posts already. So good job on that. That's going to be worth 13 points. That's going to be due 2 weeks from Sunday, June the 28th. And then the Wikipedia edit assignment is going to be also worth 13 points. That's going to be due on July the 12th. Which is a Sunday again around midnight. And let's skip this discussions thing for now and come back to that. The LibGuide project, that's going to be the whopper of the assignment. That's going to be due on July the 26th around midnight. And then your semester-long project, which is already available to you right now, so you can go ahead and start on that this week. and that is going to be due on July the 31st. Now, with the semester-long project, if you go ahead and start on it this week, this is an 8-week course, you have to answer 40 questions in the semester-long project. So that does mean that if you go ahead and start this week, then you can pace yourself and do 5 questions per week, and you would, with 8 weeks, 5 questions per week, you would have 40 questions answered by the end, and you would be just fine. And then when it comes to discussions, your discussion board posts are 2 points each. We have 7 discussion board prompts, and with each discussion board prompt, you are going to do 1 original post, and then you are going to respond to 1 classmate. So that is going to be a total of 14 points. And that just goes throughout the semester. There will be 1 exception to that, and I do need to clarify that, and I will clarify that in an announcement, but I will also clarify that in this video as well when we get to that, so we'll get to that during the assignments portion as well. But yes, so again, to make that clear, 14 points total with the discussions. There are 7 discussion board prompts, and so with the discussion board prompts, you'll get 1 point for your original post, and 1 point for a response to a classmate, with 1 exception, and that is going to be the exception is going to be the discussion board post when we talk about information seeking behavior. And again, I will show that to you when we get there. Required reading materials. I am actually trying to get up with the library to get this textbook on eReserve as well, but we do have a textbook with the class, for the class, and that is going to be the Castle and Higher Math 2022. Reference and Information Services and Introduction. It'll be the 5th edition of that textbook. Additional readings are required for the class, and they are listed below in the readings on the course schedule. So you'll see that in the syllabus. You will also see that in the modules. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through the modules because what we have in the syllabus should match up with the modules. The readings are available either on the free web or through the databases in the library for this for the University of Missouri. You will need to at times use the databases, and in order to use the databases, you can follow this link here, or just go to the library homepage, library.missouri.edu, and then follow the click tabs to get to the library from there. You may end up looking for other resources, for instance, when you're trying to write papers and that sort of thing. With all of your papers, which again is only 2 papers, but you do need to have a references list, and you need to incorporate sources in your 2 papers, which again are the Wikipedia edit assignment and the virtual reference practice paper. So if you are wanting to research and find sources to use in your paper, then you can go ahead and I just noticed, just obviously it's going to take me more than 20 minutes to get through the syllabus, so I apologize for that. But yeah, this video again is going to take about 2 hours total. Getting through the syllabus is going to take significantly longer than that. I don't know why I said that. I did not mean that. I did mean for it to take longer, and it's going to, as far as getting through here. But yes, for your 2 written papers, you're going to want to hop on those databases and a lot of times and find some additional sources to strengthen your case and that sort of thing. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the due dates of those papers. But also, when it comes to the semester-long project, you're going to have to access the databases for completing the semester-long project as well. And so, again, this is how you would access the databases. We do have a librarian who is specifically assigned to CISL, and her name is Kimberly Muller, and she has created a general LibGuide, so I can show you a LibGuide right now. This is a LibGuide, and a LibGuide basically just helps you organize sources into different tabs and different boxes, and it's a way to find different sources and resources by having them organized for you. So, by the way, that's Kimberly right there. So if you ever need her help as far as database access or anything like that, you can email her is the best way to get up with her, but you can also leave her a message, a voicemail message at that number there. But yes, when it comes to a LibGuide, I'll again go into this a little bit further, but as you can see, there are different tabs here. So this is her way of organizing things that are useful to library science students. And she has them organized into these different tabs, the LIS blogs and that sort of thing, the subject databases, reference resources. And then once she gets past the for each tab, you will see that there are boxes within the tab, and the boxes have a label. And so she organizes, like, let's say, for instance, she wanted you to, let's say you wanted to find some databases that are going to be, well, in this case, reference resources. Let's say that you are looking for some reference sources that are going to be useful for writing a library science paper. You can come to this LibGuide, and then you can say, well, I don't want the blogs, I don't want the databases, let me go to the reference sources. And so you can click the reference sources tab, and then she divides them into print reference sources and online reference sources. And then you see different things under each. So that is a way to organize different resources to make them more easy to find for your students who are looking for them. Okay, so let's get back to the syllabus from here. Okay, and then also when it comes to technology requirements, just know that you will need to use email, word processing. You won't really need to use spreadsheets in this class. Web searching, database searching, and interactive courseware such as Canvas, you're going to need to know how to do that. You are going to have to learn how to create a LibGuide, and there is LibGuide software that you're going to need to use in order to create your LibGuide. I am going to, a little bit later in the semester, I'm going to send you all LibGuide welcome emails to the LibApps program, and that way you can answer the email, create a LibGuides account, and, well, a LibApps account, and that will allow you to create a LibGuide, and from there, you will be able to start working on your LibGuide. If you want to get a jump start on working on your LibGuide, then you can ask me to go ahead and create your login early. Otherwise, you'll probably get your logins toward the end of June. Okay. All right. So as far as the grading scale, let's keep it going. To be honest with you, most of my students do pretty well. I would say that typically in a 25-person class, which we have 20 as of today at least, there are 23 of you enrolled in this class. And with summer classes, once people see the workload week to week, a lot of times I do have some people drop out, to be honest with you. But yes, right now we do have 23 of you, and in a typical 23 to 25-person class, usually it's about 20 A's and then 3 to 5 B's and that sort of thing. I do have a C every now and then and an F every now and then, but for the most part, people tend to do pretty well in this class. But doing well does mean that you need to be aware of the grading scale. So if you have a 94 or up, that represents a high level of work, and that will get you an A. An 83 to a 93 will get you a B. A 71 to an 82 will get you a C, and then a 70 or below will get you an F. Now, I do reserve the right to award pluses or minuses depending on exceptional effort or exceptional lack of effort in any grade range other than the F grade range. So, what I mean by that is if you got an A, but I feel that you really poured your heart out, and you were just like one of the best students I ever had, one of the best students in this course and that sort of thing, then instead of giving you an A, then yes, I will probably grant you an A+. But by the same token, if you just mail it in, you're like, oh, I'm going to get an A, but I'm going to do the bare minimum to get an A. And, you know, you still do things that I can tell, oh, you didn't put that much effort into it. You just barely met the prongs of the rubric and that sort of thing. And you scoot out with like a 93.5 or 94 or something like that. Then, yes, you are subject at that point of getting an A-. So I still do try to reward a high effort, and in the B+ range that does go a long way. There are students that the information just doesn't click for them that well and they struggle, and so but if I see that they really busted their ass, they still only get a B even when busting their ass, but I can really tell that they tried as hard as they could, then yes, they may get a B+. So that is how that works. Okay. Weekly routine. Now this gets really difficult with these summer classes, or I shouldn't say difficult, but it definitely gets intense and it gets time consuming. So let's talk about the weekly routine. It is recommended that you keep a regular routine in this class. There is a lot of flexibility, so I don't want you all to think that this is rigid. But when it comes to every week, there is, so you'll have new readings and a new lecture every week instead of lecture. Really, it's the check-in video. Because this is a summer class, you actually do 2 weeks worth of work each week, okay? And that's something that I need you all to understand. And you're going to see this as we go through the modules. Every week, except for the last week, there are 2 weeks worth of work in this class. So it's going to be pretty intense, okay? So Summer classes condense 15 weeks worth of work into 8 weeks of course time. So because of this, each week is 2 weeks worth of work. One strategy you may want to adopt, and again, you don't have to do this. I'm just saying that this is what some students who have had success in the past have done. One option that you can have is you may want to split each week into a few days so that you can handle one module for the week from Monday through Thursday, and then the second module of the week from Friday through Sunday. The recorded check-in videos, I should say again, check-in videos instead of lecture videos. The recorded check-in videos will be available in my section of the class, which there's only one section this year. They will be labeled mandatory or optional, but they are going to be optional unless otherwise stated. It takes you goofing up before I have to do a mandatory check-in video, and I haven't had students goofing up that much in quite a few years. You should plan to spend 6 hours per week in the classroom because this is a 3-credit hour summer class. So during the regular school year, it would be 3 hours per week in the classroom, but now it is 6 hours per week in the classroom. Readings and assignments are on top of that, but again, this is flexible, so don't feel like if you don't have 6 hours plus all this other stuff that you are going to fail. That's not the case at all. Get the readings done, get the assignments done, you're going to be fine. But remember, this is graduate school and this is not a correspondence course. Reading the announcements, by the way, is mandatory, even if the links in the video content and other things that are accessible within an announcement are optional. Reading the announcement text itself is mandatory. About your instructor's participation, please know that I am reading your posts, but I won't be responding to all of them. If you want to send me a personal message, you can either email me or send me a Canvas message. Canvas message actually is the preference of the school, but I don't really care either way. But you do need to email me from your university email to my university email. If I don't respond within 48 to 72 hours, you can contact me again. And if you do email me or message me several times throughout the week, I may consolidate my answers to you into one message. Bombarding me will slow down my response time, so please remember that. And also, some emails do require a full keyboard to answer, so I'm locked into my email through my phone as well. But if you ask me something and I'm not going to be able to respond to it through my phone, then I am going to wait until I get back in front of the computer and email you back from there. There are times when several people in the class ask me the exact same question, and if that's the case, I will try to answer that through a course announcement or something. The late work policy is something I have in here to kind of cover my behind, but it's not something, again, that I am very rigid about. There's some leeway here. There's some flexibility here. I'm human. You're human. We all know that human things happen to human people. So what it says, the verbiage that I have in here so that I can hold it against you to protect myself if necessary, but I don't really want to hold things against you. So don't bank on me holding things against you. But if I need to, I can use the late work policy for saying that all late work will have a 10% deducted per date, that it is late up to 5 days, and then after 5 days it will not be accepted. You must contact your instructor before you plan to turn in a late assignment, unless you have something like being in the hospital, being in jail, something like that. There is no makeup for missed discussion weeks or assignments that are not turned in by the due date. And this is a graduate course, not a correspondence course. So again, remember that. Also, sync sessions are mandatory, but sync sessions, I've phased the sync sessions out of the summer classes, so you don't have any sync sessions this semester or this summer. So don't worry about that part. Now, what I will say about that is I am human. Okay, I'm human. So when it comes to this late work policy, yes, that is there. But really what I want you all to remember is this. Reach out to me. Communication is key. Reach out to me when things aren't going optimally, and I will work with you to try to make things better. I am not going to stick to the letter of the law when it comes to late work and giving you flexibility on things, because life happens, and life happens to me too. I know what it's like to have a full-time job and still be going to school. I know what it's like to, right now I have this full-time job, which actually is more than 40 hours a week. And on top of this full-time job, I do have a part-time job that I go to 5 days a week. And then also I just quite frankly, life is happening to me right now. I'm trying to pack up and move out of my house. I'm going through a divorce. I'm going through a lot of things. Life is lifing, and I know that life is lifing for you all too. Y'all have things such as you may be getting married, you may be getting divorced, you may be caring for family members who got sick, you may be juggling one or two jobs on top of going to school. You may be doing a whole lot of things. I've had students that have had to move in emergency situations related to stalkers, for instance, or related to even like bug infestations. I've had a student who had to move right away because the rental unit she was in just was subject to this really massive bug infestation. And it was really bad and really taxing for her. When things like that happen, just let me know, talk to me, and generally, if I understand what's going on, I am willing to work with you, and I am not going to hold things against you. So yeah, we've got some flexibility, folks, with this, with this late work thing. And that also includes, when things happen, when bad things happen in your life. Some of you may I've had students get arrested before. If you get arrested during the semester, just explain to me, Dr. Jace, I was in jail. And this is what happened. This is why I was late. I'll work with you with that. If you are in a car accident or something like that, or in some kind of accident, Dr. Jace, I was in the hospital. Dr. Jace, I was in so much pain. I couldn't concentrate on the assignment. Let me know. Dr. Jace, my best friend died, my cousin died, my dog died, my immediate family member died, something like that. Okay, let me know. We will grant you extensions for that. Dr. Jace, my boyfriend or girlfriend dumped me. I was planning to turn in the assignment on Sunday, and I get dumped on Friday, and it just broke my heart, and I couldn't concentrate on work. Fine, let me know, and we will extend you, okay? And then even good things at times. If you have a family vacation planned, and you have that family vacation planned out months in advance, or even weeks in advance, and you don't want to take schoolwork on your family vacation, okay, let me know. We'll work with you on that, all right? Same deal with if you have a wedding or something like that going on. If you have a wedding planned for Saturday, you don't necessarily want to turn in that assignment right on Sunday, the day after your wedding. Okay, fine. I will probably extend you into Wednesday so that you can get Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday to work on the assignment from there. The main point is I'm human. I get human experiences. Reach out to me and I will work with you. My goal is not to fail you all. I actually do want to see you all successful, and I don't want to treat this class like it's an emergency. When it comes to, there are certain things that are emergencies. Absolutely. It is an emergency. When you are a doctor or a lawyer, there are going to be times when, you have to treat that as an emergency. Even teaching, like if you're in K-12, there are going to be times when you might have to treat a student issue as an emergency. So yeah, in those sorts of things, you do have to, I would say, cultivate an environment where students understand reacting to things in a certain amount of time because it's an emergency, but that's not generally the case in librarianship. And so we can, if you want that high stress level of needing to respond by a certain amount of time as a doctor or a lawyer, then yeah, the program that you're in preparing you for that type of job needs to prepare you for that. But I don't feel I need to prepare you for that. I feel that preparing you for to be a librarian doesn't mean that, you need to know how to meet deadlines, but you don't need to learn how to drop everything and treat things like it's an emergency in a library, but so much. No, yes, especially when you work in a public library, there are going to be emergencies that happen. I get that. But we're not going to act like you have to be programmed to know how to just drop everything, okay? We've got some flexibility here. I don't want you all to take this too seriously, and I want you all to enjoy this class, honestly. I want you all to enjoy me as an instructor, and I hope you do. So, yes, go ahead. This is a good time to take a break right now. We've gotten through the first part of the syllabus. Now we're going to go through the course calendar. Go ahead and take a break right now. Stretch, go to the bathroom, get a snack, and then come back. We're going to pause here and come back. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the course calendar so that you can also just see what I meant, what I was telling you, that each week is basically 2 weeks in one in this course. So during the summer courses, and here's what I'm going to say this. I do hope that none of you drop the class. Now, inevitably, yes, I do get 2 or 3 students who just drop the class in the summer because they tell me, hey, I didn't realize what I was signing up for when I signed up to take this class during the summer, but now that I see what's going to be expected of me, I can't do this, and that's fine. But what I am going to encourage you to do is, this reference class is one of the required classes that everybody has to take, and what I'm going to recommend, if you are here right now, I am going to ask you to, if you think you can handle it, just stay in and stick it out. Because the thing is, everybody, again, has to take the reference class. And if you go ahead and knock it out now, yes, it may be stressful to do 2 weeks of work every single week. But once you turn that semester-long project on July the 31st, which is less than 2 months away from now, because it's I'm recording this on June the 9th, you turn that semester-long project in less than 2 months from now, and then you sit back with a glass of wine or, whatever other mind-altering thing that you use and to relax, and you say to yourself, I made it through. You take a hit off your blunt vape or whatever the case may be, whatever you do. But you say to yourself, I made it through. Yes, it was tough, but I got that required class out of the way. And now I don't have to worry about it ever again. I got it out of the way. I got a good grade. And now I am one step closer to taking my electives, which I'm going to find more enjoyable. So I am hoping that you all will stay in. But this is what is on the horizon for you. And I want you all to be aware of what is on the horizon for you. So let's see what you are going to be doing for the next nearly 2 months. Again, and you will see dates with these course calendars as well. So week 1 and week 2 are both June the 8th through the 14th. And so you've got the introduction, and then you've also got the first part of theories of information seeking and needs. So, in this first part, the first thing you're going to do, the introduction is just kind of, well, it is what it is. It's the intro. You're going to be learning why reference, what is reference, different just introductory things. You're going to be learning that through, and I'm going to unfortunately need to replace the bus article soon because of some things that are happening related to Google with AI, but I haven't found a suitable replacement for this article quite yet. So it's still here. It'll still be here in the fall as well. So don't think that, if you wait till the fall, that's going to be something that's a major update. No, we don't know what direction AI is going in right now. So because we don't know that, we also don't know what to replace that with. But that change is coming. Now, again, you need to do the syllabus quiz this week. You need to do your discussion for why reference, and you need to do your introductory discussion board post. You need to have that done by Sunday night, okay? And then week 2, you will start, week 2, which is also part of the first actual week. So I'll call it Unit 2 just to make things a little easier as we go forward here. So Unit 2, it will be Part 1 of Information Seeking Behavior, basically theories. And so you've got some readings here, but Part 1 and Part 2 of Information Seeking Behavior, which that does go into next week. Part 1 and Part 2 of the Information Seeking Behavior thing, it's basically you're going to learn about different things from just different information-seeking behavior models that people have developed over the years to kind of contextualize how human beings actually seek out information and what they do with it and that sort of thing. So that stuff I feel is kind of dry, but there are a lot of people who like it and are very interested in it. You do have some associated readings with If you don't see a link to the readings here, by the way, then go into modules and you will definitely have, let me just open it up from here. So yeah, if you don't see a link to a reading in the syllabus, then just go to the modules, or you may even just want to start out with the modules and you will see that the link will be there. So everything that isn't a textbook chapter, now something like this is, not that, let me scroll down. If you see something that says RIS chapter something, that is a textbook chapter. But otherwise, if it's not a textbook chapter, it should be something that you can just access through Canvas. There will be a link within the modules or a link on the syllabus, and you just go from there. Okay. So this is what your first physical week looks like, June 8th through the 14th. You'll be doing these 2 units right here. Starting on June 15th, which will be next week, you will finish up information seeking and needs. So information seeking behavior, and these will be your assigned readings here. And so again, you see that there are not a lot of links there, but you will get the links over here on this side. So if you're looking for the links, go to the modules tab. So starting June 15th, you'll have that. And then the second unit that you'll have starting June 15th through the 21st is going to be communicating as a reference professional. So you'll do things related to learning how to determine the question. You'll learn about ethics, and you will learn a few things about the reference interview itself. You'll also learn RUSA guidelines. RUSA is the division of ALA, the American Library Association. RUSA is their division for and it says Reference and User Services Association. So that is a subunit within the American Library Association dealing specifically with jobs related to actually providing reference services to people. So your more human jobs as opposed to your cataloging and tech, which is more behind the scenes, okay? During the week of the 22nd, you will have units 5 and 6, which will be online virtual reference, and also the reference materials and information literacy. So you will learn some different nuances about delivering online reference in this unit here, and these readings deal specifically with that. And then within this unit here, what you will have is reference materials and information literacy. So you will learn about specifically some of the not ready reference, that'll come later, but you will learn exactly what reference materials are and how to be information literate, and that's basically knowing how to discern good information from bad information, okay? And so you will also see a framework for learners for the school librarians, and for school librarians, and that's K-12, and then Association of College and Research, which will be college level libraries there. All right, moving on, the week of the 29th. You will have 2 units here. The first unit will be reference services for children and adults. So we get specifically into, for those of you who want to be children's librarians or teen librarians and things like that, that's going to probably be your favorite unit right here, is the week 7 unit, or the unit that's labeled week 7. And you will learn some different things, including YALSA. You want to be aware of what YALSA is as well. So YALSA is the Young Adult Literacy. Nope, I'm still butchering it. Young Adult Literary. I knew I would get it right eventually. Young Adult Literary. No, I didn't get it right. Oh my God, I am really screwing up today. Young Adult Library Services Association. How many attempts did that take? Did it take 5? Okay, it is the Young Adult Library Services Association. One thing that you're going to notice is that there are so many organizations and sub-organizations within librarianship that it gets difficult. Like when you say YALSA, I know what that is. When you say RUSA, I know what that is. When you say BRASS, I know what BRASS is, which is the business division of ALA. But I don't often remember what the letters stand for at this point because, again, there's like a couple dozen of them, and it's just hard to keep up with even after all these years. In fact, I'm less likely to remember after all these years because I'm more focused on what directly impacts my job. But yes, YALSA deals with Young Adult Library Services. So that's what that is. But it is good to, if you want to be a teen librarian, then you're going to want to be familiar with YALSA, and you do want to be familiar with the organizations and even potentially join the organizations if you can afford to, related to the area you practice in. So yeah, if you want to be a business librarian, you want to join BRASS quite possibly, and those sorts of things, okay? Sorry I butchered that so much. That was embarrassing. But anyway, let's go ahead and scroll on so I don't have to dwell on that too much. The second unit for the week of the 29th will be the week 8 unit, which is Wikipedia and the internet. Wikipedia is something that is very useful in reference services because back in the day, and I'm old enough to remember, don't get me wrong, the internet was always a thing ever since I've been a librarian. I got my first practicing librarian job in 2008. So of course by then the internet was full-fledged. But what I will say is my first public library job, which was, I was a public librarian, in 2010 and in 2011. And during my public librarian job, I was the youngest in the reference department. So I was 28 at the time. 27 at the time when I started. And I was far younger than the other reference librarians. I was working for Forsyth County Public Library in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I was 27, and the next youngest person was in her mid 40s. She was 44. And so those people, they knew, of course, they remembered being librarians before the internet was a thing. Okay, so they were librarians before the internet was a thing, and before the internet was a thing, they would actually, when they first got a reference question, what they would do was they would go to encyclopedias, those actual print copy encyclopedias, those book encyclopedias. Each volume had a whole bunch of encyclopedias within it, and they would start their search looking for keywords within those encyclopedias. Wikipedia has pretty much taken the place of that because Wikipedia is actually a highly accurate source, and we're going to talk more about Wikipedia when it gets closer to your Wikipedia edit assignment in one of the check-in videos. But what I want you all to know for now is that Wikipedia is actually highly accurate. And so when a patron comes to you looking for information, one thing, if you're not familiar with the topic that they're trying to research, Wikipedia is a great way to start out and to look for different keywords that you can then plug into an OPAC, and OPAC being an online catalog, and into your databases as well. You can find those key terms that you need to put in, and you can start researching from there. You have more words at your disposal that you can use to find the information that you need. All right. The week starting July 6th, you have 2 units there, and those are going to be search techniques. Basic search techniques for databases, database searching, and that sort of thing. You'll look at that in the first unit for the July 6th week. And then your second unit for the July 6th week is going to be reference materials, specifically with bibliographies, encyclopedias, and Ready Reference, okay? And you'll understand what basically what Ready Reference is it used to be encyclopedias as well, but not so much now. The Ready Reference will be things like your dictionaries, your atlases, and things of that nature. So things that you would really pull. And Google nowadays replaces a lot of need for having those physical things, but you don't replace the physical things because at any given time, Google is something that is owned by a corporation, of course, and Google is shifting more to the AI as opposed to the searching strategies. So you still want to keep your Ready Reference things, and part of the reason you want to keep your Ready Reference things is because we don't know how Google is going to look in the AI age, and there may still be people who are like, well, no, I just need a standard old-fashioned directory or an old-fashioned dictionary. I don't need to do whatever Google is doing now in the AI age, okay? All right, moving on, the week of the 13th, your 2 units are reference materials number 2, which will be databases, indexes, geography, biography. Dictionaries are, again, part of Ready Reference, but I still have those listed here as well. I just kind of teased that out a little bit because it goes hand in hand in this case with concordance and manuals for the I do wish that the textbook just kind of had dictionaries kind of doing their own thing in sort of a mini chapter, but they don't. So I had to kind of squeeze those in here. But yes, so you have these sorts of things going on. So reference materials number 2, and then also for July 13th, you also have reference materials number 3, and these are going to be health, business, and law reference materials, okay? And so you'll learn quite a bit about those that week, July the 13th. July the 20th, so we'll be almost done at this point. We only have 2 physical weeks left. So July 20th through the 26th, you will be discussing and learning about government information and then also STEM reference, STEM being science, technology, engineering, medicine, those sorts of things, okay? And then finally, you only have 1 unit on that final week from June the 27th through the 31st, and you'll be turning in your semester-long project at that time. But week 15, managing and planning for our future. And I am going to update this hopefully in the fall, but this is something that we can still get away with using for now as far as that reading. And then also these readings here, actually chapter 24 in your book is a very good chapter, okay? So you can take a break right here. Go ahead and sorry about that. Go ahead and take another little break right here and then come back to me and we will finish out the syllabus going through the sort of boilerplate. All right, welcome back. Okay, let's get into resources and policies. Help available if you are having any technical difficulties related to logging on, accessing the discussion board, blah, blah, blah. Please don't, I mean, you can ask me about it if you think it's something that I can help you with, but if your issue is not something that I can help you with, then there is the help desk. And so you would want to reach out to the help desk, and you can reach out to them. Nobody even really uses the toll-free number that much anymore because pretty much everybody has a cell phone nowadays. They have that free long distance, calling. But if you do need the toll-free number that is there, some people can't use cell phones while they're at work, but they are working on schoolwork while they're at work, and they also can't make long distance phone calls. So this would be for you. Email also works very effectively here. The COVID stuff I am actually going to skip over because it's not something that really affects us that much. We are not in in-person class. Academic integrity. Academic integrity is fundamental to the activities and principles of a university. All members of the academic community must be confident that each person's work has been responsibly and honorably acquired, developed, and presented. So please don't cheat. If you cheat, I will report you. If I catch you cheating, I will report you, okay? And you will very much fail the assignment. If you cheat, there's a high likelihood that you will also fail the class, and then also you may be expelled from the program. But I don't have to deal with cheaters very much, thankfully, because this is grad school, and I am thankful for that. So, moving right along there, academic inquiry, course discussion, and privacy. When students record something that happens in this course, it has an impact on the right of the people who are captured in that recording. So, for example, the instructor in the university may have rights to intellectual property contained in the recording. At the same time, another student who may have been recorded has the right to privacy. That's due to FERPA, among other things. In order to protect these rights, the University of Missouri employs a policy to govern both situations you may encounter while taking the course, and when it allows the instructor, when an instructor allows recordings and when they do not. So I will say I do not allow any recording of anything in this class. If you have a situation where you need to speak to, let me put it this way. So I want to create a situation among you all as students, among y'all, as I want to create a situation where everybody feels mutually safe. Okay, so I want to create a situation where everybody is taking this class every day saying to themselves, I don't have to worry about my classmates doxing me. I don't have to worry about a classmate not liking what I say. And then if they don't like what I say in the discussion board or something like that, even if they don't like what I say, I don't want to worry about them screenshotting what I did and putting it out on the internet or something like that. Please don't do that. If I catch y'all doing stuff like that, I do have recourse to have you punished for that. So again, do not do that. If you're offended by what one of your classmates says, you either take it to me or you take it to the Title IX office, and one of the two, either me or the Title IX office, will deal with it, okay? And if you need to, or I should say the Office of Anti-Discrimination, but if you need to be linked to that office, just let me know. So if it's not something that you feel comfortable talking to me about, then you can go ahead and either Google the Office of Anti-Discrimination and what title they're actually using right now, or you can ask me and I will refer you to them, okay? But don't just go and post what your classmates say online. Don't do that. It's very poor form. And I would expect that they not do that for you either. I want what happens in this class to stay in this class. Now, because I'm an instructor, things are a little bit different for me. Because I'm an instructor, yes, if I say something inappropriate, I have to deal with the consequences of that because I am somebody who is employed by the university and representing the university in employee fashion. Okay. But I do hope, if there's something that does offend you or something like that, I'm actually hoping that it's something that you're willing to, if you're comfortable enough that you're willing to say, hey, Dr. Chase, I didn't like what you said. I just felt it was inappropriate. I felt it was, this, and I'm willing to have a conversation with you about it. I do, back in the day, I feel that people were a lot less, there was a lot less litigation when I was younger, and I feel that people were more apt to doing things like discussing things with each other, discussing differences with each other. And now, instead of discussing differences with each other, we just go and we make things, we take things to the next level a lot. And I do hope that society gets back to, hey, we have differences, let's talk them out. I do think that we got further as a society when we handle things that way. Okay. Um, and you can read the fine details of that on your own. But this is boilerplated stuff that you're going to see in every single syllabus in this program until it's updated. So you'll see it in the syllabi of other classes with other professors as well. FERPA basically says that you have a right to privacy, so I can't do things like tell people what you got in the class or tell people what you told me in confidence and things like that. So you can read up on the specifics of that as well, but just know, yeah, if I violate your FERPA, if I tell somebody what you earned in this class when I wasn't supposed to or something like that, you would have grounds to take action against me. Intellectual pluralism. The university community welcomes intellectual diversity and respects students' rights. Students who have questions or concerns regarding the atmosphere in this class may contact the department chair or the divisional director, or you can also contact the Office of Academic Integrity or the University of Missouri Equity Office. So the departmental chair is going to be Cindy Dudenhofer, and then the divisional director is going to be Denise Atkins. As far as mental health, folks, please do not suffer in silence. Mizzou is committed to supporting student well-being through an integrated network of care with a wide range of services to help students succeed. The Mizzou Counseling Center is available for those of you who are here in Columbia. And when I say here in Columbia, I'm in Kansas City, but still, if you are in Columbia, you do have the option to use the student counseling services on campus. You can call and make an appointment, but even if you are a distance student in another area of the state or in another state entirely, what I recommend you do is still contact I guess they're calling themselves the Office of Wellbeing now. What are they calling themselves? These things change so much. Student Health and Wellbeing, which is a division of Student Affairs. You are still welcome to reach out to them. They do have an email address somewhere on here. Okay, I can't find it right away, but if you look for it, you will find it. And you are welcome to reach out to them. And if they can't accommodate you locally because you're not local, then what they will do is there are resources that they can refer you to so that they can get you the help that you need. Folks, mental health issues are real, okay? And you do not need to suffer in silence. You do not need to keep it to yourself. If you have an emergency, by all means, please, if you're feeling suicidal or you're feeling like you might self-harm, please, by all means, call 988. That is the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline. Please do not harm yourself, okay? And I'm very serious about that. If you have nobody to talk to and you just need to reach out to me, I am not licensed to give and not trained to give mental health services. So, you take what you can get there, but there have been times when people have reached out to me and it was better than them not reaching out to anybody at all. So if there is nobody else you can talk to and you need somebody, reach out to me and I'll do what I can, but just know that there are no guarantees that I can offer adequate mental health resources and services because, again, I'm not trained. That's not my area, okay? Online netiquette, please, again, just remember that when you're in the online, especially when you're putting things on a discussion board and things like that, people don't necessarily know, even when you're trying to be humorous and you think it's obvious that you're being humorous, there are times when people just don't really realize that, and that can cause some problems at times when you were trying to be humorous, but people didn't understand that, they didn't get it, they reacted a certain way, okay? So just be aware, okay? Be aware, all right? I would say, there's nothing wrong with using humor, but first of all, if you can find ways to make it obvious that you're using humor, go ahead and do that. And yeah, from there, again, just use good judgment, be respectful in this. We want to create a sort of, mutual, that was the word I was looking for, a mutual understanding of respect in this course, in this online course space, okay? All right, moving right along. When it comes to religious holidays and accommodations, there is a guide to religious dates and practices and things like that. But yeah, again, just talk to me. That's another thing about, just like when I was talking about late work earlier. When it comes to religious holidays and everything. Yes, I'm a Christian, so I'm familiar with Christian holidays, but I used to be an atheist, and there are a lot of people who are atheists and free thinkers in our field. You will feel right at home if you are an atheist or an agnostic. But if you are a Muslim, if you are Jewish, if you are Hindu, Buddhist, whatever, just reach out if you need an accommodation related to religious observance. Be honest. I would prefer that you be honest. Don't just come to me talking about the Festivus for the rest of us that you need and that sort of thing. But, even, yeah, atheist isn't a religion. It is the lack of religion. But still, if you're an atheist and you're like, well, it's really important to me to have this atheistic holiday, or atheistic observance that's happening on June the 22nd or something like that, just let me know. Okay, I will work with you. We will work through it. Non-discrimination policy. The University of Missouri does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, ancestry, religion, sex, including gender, pregnancy, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, protected veteran status, or any other status protected as applicable by state or federal law. I will not discriminate against you on basis of any of those things, nor do I want to. Okay, if you feel like I have discriminated against you based on any of these factors or other factors, then again, reach out to the Mizzou Office of Civil Rights and Title IX. You can call that number there, or you have other options that you can find here. I am a mandated reporter, so I am going to ask that you all be careful in what you all tell me. Okay, so if and I've had this situation or a similar situation to this happen before. If your partner physically harms you deliberately, if you tell me that to try to get an extension on an assignment, please be aware that I have to tell somebody else because I am a mandated reporter. So just be aware that I do want you to get help. I certainly don't want you to be abused just for the sake of trying to avoid putting me in an awkward situation. Don't do that at all. If I have to get you help, I'm going to get you help. But just know that there are some things that come with that. So just know that when you're talking to me, you are talking to a mandated reporter. So if you say something to me that I feel rises to the level of I need to report this to somebody, then I'm going to do it. And you may not like me for that, but that's just what happens. Okay. So yeah, and if you want some more information about mandated reporting and things like that, again, reach out to the Office of Civil Rights and Title IX and get some clarification there. Finally, disabilities. There are a lot of people with disabilities in our field. We are a field that's very friendly to the neurodivergent. I'm neurodivergent myself, and I would even say that neurodivergence is overrepresented in the library field. A lot of people come to the library field. I see it in applications even all the time, and people are like, I'm unique because I'm autistic, or I have ADHD, or I have Asperger's, or something of that nature. Please know that actually in the library field, we have a lot of people on the spectrum, lots and lots of people on the spectrum. Okay, so everybody's unique and that sort of thing. Everybody is an individual, but those things are not as uncommon in the field of librarianship as they are in other fields. So just be aware of that. Okay. So if you need an accommodation due to physical or mental or other disabilities that you have, I cannot grant those accommodations without an accommodation plan. Those things really need to be documented. So if you have a disability of some sort, reach out to the University of Missouri Disability Center, work with them to create an accommodation plan. I will get a copy of the accommodation plan, and then I can make reasonable accommodations for you as necessary. Okay. So yes, get that done, get that documented, and we are again working toward your success. All right. Now is the time for you to take another break, and after you take another break, we will go into the assignments tab. All right, let's talk about assignments. So we are done with the syllabus. Yay. Only took an hour. So let's go ahead and talk about the assignments, and the assignments is not going to take an hour. This part will probably take about 30 minutes, and I know I just kind of spat on myself by saying 20 minutes on the syllabus, but now I am more fully awake and aware. Let's just put it that way. So first of all, let's talk about the unassignment. Well, no, we can talk about the syllabus quiz first. So again, you are now ready to take the syllabus quiz, but one thing that I want you all to know is that the syllabus quiz actually, there's an auto grading within it. So Canvas is going to grade it itself, basically. However, Canvas is looking for very specific answers. And even if you don't plug in the very specific answers the specific way that Canvas wants you to plug them in, that does not necessarily mean that you're wrong. So here's what I want you all to know. I want everyone to realize, let me kind of fix myself and center myself here. I want everybody to realize that if you get a perfect, you just get a perfect. But any grade that shows up that doesn't record as a perfect after you finish the quiz, I'm going to go back in there and make sure you didn't get those things right anyway. And pretty much 95% of the time, even things that you got marked wrong by Canvas are things that you actually did get right. And if that's the case, I go ahead and restore those points. So don't worry about that, okay? So yes, we're gonna make me small here. So yes, go ahead and take, again, you can, you get 2 shots at it. You can take your syllabus quiz by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. But go ahead and get that done. It shouldn't take you any more than 10 minutes or so. I don't care if you have the syllabus open in another tab while you're taking it. I really don't. Just make sure you take it and make sure that you are remembering that key information that is in the syllabus. Okay, let's jump to the unassignment. We need to do the unassignment really quick. So the unassignment is going to be due a week from Sunday. So that's going to be June the 21st. And basically what you're going to do with this assignment, and it's going to be worth 10 points, what you're going to do is you're going to use this as your format. So your format is here, and you need to have all of these fields, including of note. One thing that students, for some reason, I've had semesters where students just totally woof on the of note part. They do the other fields, but they don't do of note. No, you've got to have of note as well. So again, you use this format, and basically you replace the information that I have here for cables, and you replace that with information. So you'll put what database you were assigned here is, whichever database you did, you put that there. You will then put a description of the database. You'll have 3 unique features. You can do more if you want. The target audience for that database, examples of questions that would be asked, that would be answered using that database, and then an of note field, so something that's kind of miscellaneous, but still something that makes that database seem more interesting and stand out. And the reason you have to do this assignment is that this is peer-to-peer learning. Once everybody has turned in their database unassignment, it's going to be on the discussion board. You're going to put it on the discussion board. And once everybody has put up their unassignment, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to remind you all in a check-in video and in a course announcement that the unassignments are all turned in. And so if you make some time, read what your fellow classmates did, and that's a quick way to learn about the other databases that are out there, because there are so many databases out there that we use in librarianship, and this is a quick way to learn about quite a few of them. So yes, this is, again, peer-to-peer learning. It's a way to learn from your classmates, and again, it's going to be 10 points. You will see there is a list of database assignments. So I have assigned each of you one of the databases to do the assignment with. If you want to switch, then email me or send me a Canvas message, but you can email me at austinj@missouri.edu. And you can trade with a classmate. You can do something that's not assigned, or if I made a mistake and didn't assign you a database, then again, email me about that as well. And then also, I do want this to be clear. Now, these databases were chosen because they were all things that you have access to as a student for the University of Missouri. However, these databases are all, because they are offered through the University of Missouri, they're mostly academic library databases. I know that a lot of you want to be public libraries. I strongly encourage you, if you want to be a public librarian, I strongly encourage you to think about one of the more common public library databases that you are familiar with, and ask me to switch so that you can do that public library database instead. Go ahead and reach out to me, ask me to switch if somebody else hasn't already try to request that same database, and I will most likely assign it to you, and then you can do the assignment with that public library database. And ideally, you will have some public library databases sprinkled in there as well, because even if you become an academic librarian, you still want to use your public library and use the resources offered by your public library. So this is a way to learn about those as well. And there are some really neat things that are offered by public libraries. Okay, so again, for the sake of FERPA reasons, I'm not actually going to scroll down to show you your assignments. But if you click on the an assignment thing, you will see the first thing that is going to be there if you have oldest first set as your for your order of posts related to that prompt. What you're going to see is this comment with me giving the database assignment. So just review those, find your database, and then go from there. Okay. All right. So let's go back out here and let me clarify one thing for you all as far as let's go to assignments. Let me clarify this. Remember when I said that there are 7 discussion board prompts, and their discussions are worth 14 points total throughout the semester. So you have 7 discussion board prompts, and then you will get for 6 of those 7 discussion board prompts, what you will get is 1 point for your own post, and then 1 point for a reply to a classmate, with one exception. The exception is number 2, discussion board prompt number 2. Here you do not have to respond to a classmate. What you're going to do is you are going to have 2 original posts of your own. You can read that for yourself. I'm not going to read it right now because that's going to take too much time out of the video, add too much time to the video. But basically what's going on here is I'm not expecting you to reply to a classmate here. You can if you want, but you're not required to. You just do 2 original posts here. Okay. All right. So that's how that works. Let's go ahead and look at the other assignments now. So virtual reference practice paper. So this is going to be due on June the 28th, as that's going to be it's going to be 2 weeks from Sunday, and this is why I need you all to go ahead and do your discussion board introduction, your introductory post that I mentioned on the first announcement. You need to do that as soon as possible, and this is the reason why, so that you can be assigned a partner as quickly as possible. Go ahead and reach out to your partner. You're going to have to just basically follow these directions. You are going to have you're going to have reference interactions with your partner where you're going to role play. Your partner is going to play the patron and you play the librarian, and then also you play the librarian and your partner plays the patron. You're going to switch up, do that sort of thing. And the nuts and bolts of it is you're going to have that interaction. You're going to do one thing in real time. It can be through Zoom or Google Meet or whatever, but you're going to have a live interaction, and then also and you're going to you don't have to actually record the live interaction. Okay, one thing you can do is just kind of summarize what went on there, but then also the second thing that you're going to do is you can either do it through Twitter or Google Chats or Google Hangout or Facebook or email. A lot of people use email. So a email service or a chat service, and you're going to also have an asynchronous interaction. So you're going to have a synced interaction with something like Zoom or Google Meet or something like that. And then also you're going to have an asynced interaction through email or chat. I know that chat is kind of synced, but it's kind of not. Let's not get into the nuances of that too much. But basically, you're going to have these virtual reference sort of things, and you're going to write a brief paper based on that experience, and you're going to have all the information. You're going to want to hit these questions, make sure that your essay style paper addresses all these questions and more, but you're not going to do a Q&A. Do not do that. And you'll see things here related to all of that. You'll submit a 4 to 5 page paper about the experience. You'll note what happened. You'll reflect on what happened and that sort of thing. So follow the prompt. If you have any questions about the prompt, just ask me. I'm more than happy to clarify. Also, please please write in first person when appropriate. Don't refer to yourself in third person as the student or something like that. At some point, students get taught that they can't write in first person in academic writing, and that's absolute nonsense. I don't know where people pick that up, but that's actually not a thing. You do have a rubric. You have a rubric for all of your assignments, except for the semester-long project. Please pay attention to the rubric. I will be evaluating you based on the rubric, so the rubric will explain to you what I'm looking for. And so if you want top points, follow the directions in the prompt and follow the guidance in the rubric, okay? You will, again, need to use APA, so you will need to have sources. You will need to have sources for the virtual reference practice paper and for the Wikipedia edit assignment. If you do not cite sources in the paper, you will lose points, okay? If you are told to use a style guide, a citation style guide, then that means that you need to cite things. All right, so just follow that there. Again, this corresponds with student learning outcome number 4. And yeah, that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of that. And again, if you have any questions related to that, because I kind of have to go through this fairly quickly. So if you have any questions related to that, again, just reach out to me and I'll talk about this a little bit more in next week's check-in video. Let's go to the Wikipedia edit assignment now. So with the Wikipedia edit assignment, again, I told you that for the Wikipedia edit assignment and the virtual reference practice paper, those are both things where you need to have a reference list and you need to do actual APA. Now, I am going to tell you next week in next week's check-in video, I'm going to tell you about 2 common APA mistakes that students make a lot. And I'm going to tell you what you need to do to avoid those APA mistakes. But I know that some of you will still make those. It just happens with one, no, there is no exception. Every single semester that I've taught this course, and I've taught this course every semester since August of 2018, and every single semester I have somebody make the exact APA mistakes that I warned them not to make. So one thing that I would do is encourage you all to, unless you're a master of APA, unless you know APA, watch at least the part of the check-in video where I tell you about the common APA mistakes. But again, I know that somebody will make those mistakes. Anyway, Wikipedia edit assignment, and I will again talk about it more in depth in one of the future check-in videos. But for now, just know that for the Wikipedia edit assignment, you are going to pick a page within Wikipedia and you are going to make a significant edit to it, and you are going to use a reliable source when making that edit. And so, again, you're going to have a rubric here that you're going to be following and everything. And one thing, and this will apply for both the Wikipedia edit assignment and the LibGuide, I want you to pick something that you're interested in so that you have fun with the assignment. So, and they don't have to be the same thing, by the way. You can make your LibGuide about something different from what you made your Wikipedia edit assignment about. But with both things, you're not wedded to doing something that you know requires an additional source or something like that. Not additional source. You're not required to do something that, I know that there's some verbiage in here about pages that need additional references. You are not wedded to doing one of those. If you can't find anything that you want to alter, then yes, you can go ahead and alter one of those pages, but you're not required to. If you want to edit the Wikipedia page about your favorite band or about your high school or about your hometown or about your hobby or about your favorite TV show, whatever the case may be, that is fine. Do something that you are interested in. If you're not sure whether or not, there are a few topics that are not going to fly. If you're not sure if your topic is going to fly, reach out to me. And I will give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a let's refine this a little bit. And then also, let me also make this clear. When it comes to, excuse me for a second. When it comes to editing a Wikipedia page, not editing one, but when it comes to actually producing a Wikipedia page, that's what I meant to say. So making an original Wikipedia page, like let's say that you want to make a Wikipedia page about your high school and there currently isn't a Wikipedia page about your high school, you are more than welcome to contact me before you do that. You're more than welcome to do that. Just know I will expect the Wikipedia page that you make from scratch to, be good. Okay, because this is something that contributes to public knowledge and that sort of thing. So make it something that is good, but then also know that in the summer semester, again, this class is intense during the summer, so you're not necessarily going to have an abundance of time. So, just use some, I guess, judgment as to whether or not you want to put the time into actually creating a Wikipedia page from scratch. But I do have students who want to do that every now and then, and if you want to do that, that's fine. All right, let's go ahead. I'll talk a little bit more about that assignment in a future check-in video. Let's go ahead and talk very quickly about the LibGuide. The LibGuide is the huge assignment, and so it's the biggest assignment of the semester. And so, and I've got to fix that. So this should say summer 2026. I will go ahead and get that fixed. But yes, so what you're going to do is you are going to create a LibGuide. You are going to, that's not what I meant to do. Hold on for a second. I'm sorry. All right. So you will make LibGuides through, the company that runs the LibGuide software is called LibApps, and they have LibGuide software. That's nothing that you have to pay extra for. It's included in your tuition and fees for the class. And what you're going to do is, again, probably toward the end of June, I am going to send you a welcome email. I'm going to create LibApps accounts for y'all, and based on your university email. And you are going to create a LibGuide, but you're going to get a welcome email from from LibApps, I'm sorry, and you are going to log into your LibApps account, change your password, and then you are going to create your LibGuide from within that account. And LibGuides, they can look a bunch of different ways. Again, I will talk more about LibGuides in a future check-in video when we get closer to the due date of the LibGuide, but for now you can kind of Google around to get a sense of what a LibGuide is. But basically, again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, a LibGuide is something that allows you to organize different resources into tabs and boxes, and that way it's considered what we call a pathfinder. And this is a way to have things organized so that if somebody, like, let's say you had a LibGuide that was specifically about, in this case, sources. What you could do is you could divide it into tabs. So this is what they've done. They've organized good sources. They made a sources LibGuide, and they've got resources within their sources LibGuide, and they divided them into source type. So you got books, articles, that sort of thing. And within each of the tabs, you will have boxes. This is actually not a very good LibGuide. This is not a good LibGuide at all. So actually let me come out of here and see if I can find a different one. Let's hope that this is something a little better. Okay, so, well, this one doesn't have boxes. So, but you'll see, okay. I will talk about these more, as we get closer to time. I'm actually going to have a whole previous video that I'm going to link in for, LibGuide resources and everything. But also you can, Google around for LibGuide best practices. You can watch LibGuide tutorials on YouTube and on SpringShare and things like that. And you're basically going to do all of that so that you can, it's going to be a self-discovery process, okay? Now also, and again, I'll say a little bit more about this as we get closer to time, but when it comes to the LibGuide, I actually don't mind if you have a coworker that's good at making LibGuides, that they walk you through the process. Most of your learning library stuff is going to be having a coworker guide you through it. So if you have, like, no, you can't let a coworker make a LibGuide for you or allow you to copy a LibGuide that they've made. Don't do that. If I find out that you've done that, again, I'm going to call that cheating, and you're going to have to deal with discipline from there. But if a coworker agrees that, hey, I have to create a LibGuide for reference class, can you just kind of sit beside me and walk me through the process? I want you on the computer actually putting it together so you learn the skill. But the coworker can say, yeah, what you can do is you can do this and do this and do that. That is perfectly fine. If you have any questions about gray area as to what may or may not be considered cheating, reach out to me. That's one of the main things I want you all to gather from this, is reach out to me when there are questions. But yes, so you will see that this is a very long rubric, and you will also have to create a video tutorial and embed that within the LibGuide. So be aware that you're going to have to do that. You can use ScreenPal or some other video recording software in order to do that. There is a free version of ScreenPal. So, and I use the paid version of ScreenPal actually to record these check-in videos, but you can use the free version to create a 3-minute or less video tutorial to go with your LibGuide. So everything, again, pay attention to the rubric. I know the prompt and the rubric are long, but pay attention. This will give you the information you need to be successful. And if you have any questions or need clarity on anything, just reach out to me. Okay? All right, so I'll talk about the LibGuides a little bit more in a future check-in video, but again, we are almost at 2 hours now, so we don't want to belabor this too much, but know that that's on the horizon, and that's going to be due on July the 26th, so class will be almost over at that time. The semester-long project is the last assignment that we need to go in and just kind of look at. The semester-long project is just that. What you're going to do is this is going to be due on July the 31st, and what it is you are going to answer 40 questions, and they need to be for each section. It'll tell you how many questions to answer. This will be worth 20 points total, so each question that you answer is worth a half point. And so, for instance, yes, when you go in here, it says answer 2. So of these 4 questions here, answer 2 of them if you successfully answer them. And for most of these questions, there is no right or wrong. I just need to know that you are being logical in what you're saying. So, you answer your 2 questions there, you get the point. For the evaluate section here, it says answer 1.5 point for, so of these 3 questions here, you need to answer 1 of them. Then you get to this next one here, it says answer 4 at half a point each for 2 possible points. So of these 6 questions here, you answer 4 of them, and if you answer them successfully, you get 2 points. Again, you have to answer 40 total questions. There are 68 questions in this document. You need to answer 40 of them. And so you have 8 weeks. So if you answer 5 questions per week, if you start this week and answer 5 questions per week, then that will pace you to finish with your 40 questions on time. Okay, so that's what I suspect that a lot of you are going to do. And again, you have the entire semester to do that, the entire summer, I should say, to do that. That's going to be, again, worth 20 points total. All right, and so that's it really with the assignments. And if you have, I'm going to talk more about every single assignment except for the semester-long project. I'm not going to talk more in depth about that in a future check-in video, but the other assignments, the other major assignments, which will be your Wikipedia edit assignment, your virtual reference practice paper, and your LibGuide, I'm going to devote a check-in video to talking more in depth about those. So even though the check-in videos are optional, if you really are feeling lost, then I will encourage you to watch those check-in videos to get that more in-depth backing about what's in front of you. And from there, yes, you can get clarity from that. Reach out to me if you have questions remaining after watching the check-in videos and other things related to that assignment that I put in the course announcements, and go from there. Okay, so now that we have all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about a few more things, and then we will wrap up. So take a break right here. In fact, let me pause. Take a break. Okay, welcome back. And yeah, the remaining things will take about 20 to 30 minutes. So we will be right at 2 hours. So again, announcements, what I'm going to do right now is go through the announcement that I've already told you, that I've already put up. But again, please do not forget, announcements are required. There will be optional content in the announcements, but the announcements themselves are required, okay? And so for this first announcement, I do want you all to, again, I say that reading the announcements is mandatory, so I've already said that several times. I'm not going to belabor that anymore. But the check-in video thing, I do explain that here, so I want you all to know that I will, for the summer, I will probably have a check-in video every week because we have no sync sessions. So the check-in videos, this one doesn't have a state of the course update, but there will be state of the course updates for the remaining check-in videos. And then also I will talk either about an upcoming assignment or a database or both, okay? And that's pretty much how that goes with these check-in videos. But again, speed the check-in videos up. I know I talk slow, so speed the check-in videos up to 1.5 speed. You'll still understand everything that I'm saying. But yeah, so basically there are 2 types of students. There's the student that just wants to get the A and move on. A lot of those students do not watch the check-in videos, but then there are those students that just want to build an ongoing dialogue with the professor. They want to glean some of the knowledge. One thing about me, I've been in this field for 20 years now, and so I've got lots of connections. I've seen lots of things. I've been very heavily involved, and because of that, I do know some things that may slip out through some of the check-in videos, and so it might be helpful for you to get some of that knowledge from me, listen to what I say in the check-in videos, and then you might end up saying to yourself, hey, Dr. Jason knows quite a few things, okay? And if you see yourself getting to that point, then absolutely, you know, this is a way to build a relationship with me, to get some extra knowledge and insight from me, to kind of elaborate, geek out, if that's what you want to do, and that sort of thing, all right? But yes, always speed the check-in videos up. So for instance, this is going to be a 2-hour check-in video, but if you speed it up to 1.5 speed, then it should be somewhere around 1 hour and 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. So that knocks off 40 minutes of time, so that makes it significantly shorter. So that's something to be aware of. And then also, yes, you do need to get your introductory topic, your introduction done ASAP. If you have not done your intro by Sunday, June the 14th at 11:59 p.m. Central Time, if you've not done it by then, I'm just going to automatically, assign you with somebody. But the reason why I want you to do your introductory post, first of all, so your classmates know who you are, but get a feel for who you are and that sort of thing. And that is part of networking, and networking is a huge part of the game. When you were talking about librarianship, networking is a huge part of librarianship. If you want to be a successful librarian, you better know how to network, okay? But in spite of that, also, again, this is what I use to pair you up with partners, okay? So when it comes to the virtual reference practice paper that you're going to need a partner for, here's the method to my madness. I am trying to actually help you network. I want you to potentially come out of this class with a networking partner. So a networking contact. So having said that, what I do is when I assign partners for the virtual reference practice paper, the first thing I do is I try to get somebody in your metro area. And that way, if you actually want to meet with this person in public, first of all, meet with them in public, keep yourself safe. But if I pair you with somebody who is in your metro area, you can meet with them in public to do the assignment if you want, but you can meet with them in person in public. And that's a good way to, that might be somebody that you have as a study partner, for the rest of your time in the program or something like that. So that's a good way to make a connection. Make a local connection. And again, networking is everything. A lot of librarians tend to be friends with other librarians. Another thing, if I can't get you with somebody that's in your metro area, I will then try to get you with somebody in your state, because again, that's a networking thing. When you're in the same state as somebody, then you might go to state conferences together. You might see each other at state conferences is the big thing. You might do state library association work together and that sort of thing. A lot of people who work as librarians in the same state, they tend to know each other. So you may be able to serve as a reference for somebody or you might be able to point your this new contact you have, to jobs or things like that. So there is a good chance, if you're in the same state as somebody, that you're going to come across them again. And so that's why I will try to pair you with somebody in your state if I can't get you with somebody in your metro area. But then the last thing I try to do, if I can't get you with somebody in your metro area, and I can't get you with somebody in your state, then the next thing that I try to do is to get you with somebody in your time zone, just because that makes scheduling a lot easier. So when it comes to, let's say, let's say that you are, let's say that I have two people that are in different states, but they're in the same time zone. It's still easier to schedule that way. So like if I have a student who's in Virginia and then I have a student who's in Maine, they're both in Eastern time. And so I may pair you two together so that you're like, oh yeah, we're both on East Coast time. It's easy for us to do this, this, and the other. And we have similar sort of time nuances that we have to take into consideration. And that is a lot easier to schedule than, let's say I paired you with somebody, you're in North Carolina and they are in Oregon. Now you have somebody on East Coast time and somebody on West Coast time, and then it gets really weird because the person on East Coast time may be like, well, I'm really only available really early in the morning from like 7 to 9 a.m. Well, 7 a.m. On the East Coast is going to be, I believe, that's going to be 4 a.m. on the West Coast. So that makes scheduling very difficult. And then let's say that that person in Oregon is like, well, no, I'm only available after I get off work at 7 p.m. I'm only available after 7 p.m. Well, 7 p.m. on the West Coast is going to be 10 p.m. on the East Coast. So you can see how that creates some scheduling nuances. So yes, I do want to get you, if nothing else, paired with somebody in your time zone. So I need you to get your intro post up right away, okay? So that I can go ahead, and I'm actually going to start pairing some people up later today, which is Tuesday, because I see that there are 2 people in St. Louis, and I'm going to go ahead and probably pair those people in St. Louis up since they're in the same metro area, and they can go ahead and reach out to each other, and then they get more time to actually schedule and work on that assignment, okay? So yes, get that done as soon as possible. That's the only announcement that's in the class right now, so that's the only announcement that we have to go over. So you can take a pause here, and then I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes talking about myself. Not because I'm a narcissist, but you probably want to know a little bit about your professor. All right, take a break here, and then we get back. Pause. All right, so from here, I'm going to spend about 20 minutes talking about myself. I make this the last part of the video so that if this isn't something you're interested in, you can stop it right here. But a lot of students do like to know who they're dealing with. So I am Dr. J.S.K. Austin, and I am originally from Soul City, North Carolina. That is a real place. You can Google it, look it up. And I have been in the library field since 2006. I started as a library science student in the fall of 2006. So I am right at about 20 years. I started in August of 2006. So yeah, 20 years in the game, man, and it has flown by. But having said that, I do have quite a bit of experience, and I've got a lot of varied experience. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about as I talk about who I am. A bachelor's in English from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, that I earned in 2005. From there, I also got a master's degree in library science from North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. I earned that in 2008. North Carolina Central University, by the way, as some trivia, is the only historically black college, or HBCU, with an accredited library science program in the United States of America. So that's something good for you all to know. Again, a little bit of trivia there. And after all that, I got my PhD in library science from the University of South Carolina, and I completed that program in 2017. Now, as far as my work experience, my professional work experience, immediately after graduating from college, I worked as a newspaper reporter in my hometown, Henderson, North Carolina. I'm actually from Soul City, but the closest daily newspaper was the Henderson Daily Dispatch in Henderson, North Carolina. I worked with them from May of 2005 until August of 2008. So I worked as a newspaper reporter for 3 years, and then after that, I worked as I was the first diversity resident librarian at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, UNCG. I served with UNCG as their diversity resident librarian from 2008 until 2010. If you don't know what a resident librarian is, if you remember the TV show Scrubs, those characters were in a medical residency. So it's not that you're living at the library. What it is, a residency is when you are a professional, but you are actually working as a full-time employee, learning skills on the job. Okay, and that's what I was doing in my residency. So the same way that there are residencies for the medical field, there are also residencies for the librarian field. And I was a resident librarian for my first job and got a lot of varied experiences through that. From 2010 to 2011, I was a public services librarian for basically a reference librarian for Forsyth County Public Library in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In the fall of 2011, I was accepted into the PhD program at the University of South Carolina. So I moved to Columbia, South Carolina at that time. And 2 years later, in 2013, I started working as a community college reference and instruction librarian at Midlands Technical College in Columbia, South Carolina, while I was working on my PhD. I finished the PhD in 2017. And then in 2017, I also moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I was a business librarian for Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. For reasons that I could not tell you today, because I loved living in Myrtle Beach, as you can imagine. And there are days when I just wake up in this Midwestern weather and I wonder, what was I thinking? But I wanted to put my degree to use. That job that I had at Coastal Carolina did not require the PhD. So I ended up moving from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to Kansas City, Missouri, once I got hired by Mizzou in 2018 to be a teacher, and I have been a teacher here ever since. I did still work as a practicing librarian at UMKC while teaching for Mizzou from 2018 until 2021, but I've not been a practicing librarian since 2021. But still, that's not that bad for those of you who are like, oh, he hasn't been a practicing librarian in 5 years. Well, trust me, some of my coworkers haven't been practicing librarians in decades. Okay, so, and then also I am hoping to get a part-time practicing librarian job this summer. So keep your fingers crossed for me there. If I can get that job, then I'll be back into some practicing librarianship, because I do want to be a teacher whose instruction is informed by practice. Okay, so those are a few things about me. I'm not going to go into a whole spiel about the articles I've published and different things like that, but I do want you all to be aware that I've been active. I've been active in professional organizations. I've been publishing. I've been presenting the entire time that I have been a librarian, and actually ever since I was in library school. So I built up quite a bit of a CV. And most of you, by the time you're 20 years in, you'll be like, whoa, I've done a lot of stuff. You'll see that your CV is large by the time you're 20 years in. But, just one thing that the reason I say that is I want to encourage you all to maintain a lot of professional just activity, serve on committees, publish and present. Even if you become a public librarians a lot of times aren't charged with publishing and presenting and don't have time to a lot of times. Still, they do have the time a lot of times to serve on committees. Please be active at the state level, the regional level and national level if you can, but definitely the state level. And then if there are metropolitan things that are going on, like if you live in a metro that's big enough, certainly Kansas City and St. Louis are big enough. And I know I've got students from all across the country. So if you're, Chicago has like stuff for the Chicago Metro, Chicagoland, and that sort of thing. LA, also New York, of course, even Charlotte, the Metrolina sort of thing that they have going on there, Atlanta, wherever you are, if there are local like library consortia or organizations, formal or informal, please get active with that. Because again, networking is the name of the game. I am not where I am because I'm smart. I am not where I am because I'm handsome. I am not where I am because I am specifically anything special. I am where I am because I was willing to network, and I was less awkward about networking than a lot of librarians are. I'm going to keep it real and attribute it to that, okay? So, but yeah, those are the things that I want you all to kind of be aware of. Just always be active. Be active in all your activity. Put it on your CV, okay? And from there, the last thing that I want to say, and then we can finally close out the video, is and this is something that I tell, and this isn't something that I'm saying to make things awkward or uncomfortable, but this is something that I just bring to people's attention in every single class that I teach here at Mizzou. So, in case you haven't figured out by looking at me, I am a black man. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because this is going to be a new experience for some of y'all, especially out here in the Midwest. So, again, I grew up in the South. I grew up in North Carolina and in Virginia. Where I grew up, it's not uncommon for, people to have black teachers. I noticed when I moved to Missouri that a lot of people who grew up in the Midwest have never had black teachers before, even at the college level. They go through K-12 and undergrad without ever having a black instructor. And then I become their first black instructor. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there were things that even people, when I had my promotion packet evaluated, even people who were above me were talking about some of the racist things that were being said in student feedback about me. I had students talking about he's aggressive, he's abrasive, he's defensive. I don't feel comfortable asking him questions, and all these things. And, when I moved here from South Carolina, again, and South Carolina has one of the higher percentages of black population statewide of any state in the United States. And I will say that my students in South Carolina, because I student taught when I was working on my PhD, I also had to teach classes. And my students loved me. Like, they did not, my students in South Carolina absolutely loved me, but they were used to black people down there. Most people who are from South Carolina are used to black people. And so when my students dealt with me down in South Carolina, there weren't any of those things about how abrasive or aggressive or defensive I was or things like that. They just kind of understood the culture. They knew how black people were and that sort of thing. And so I always had good teaching evaluations at the University of South Carolina. At the University of Missouri, no. When I got here, my first year, my teaching evaluations were crap. They were some of the worst teaching evaluations that anyone had ever had here at the University of Missouri. At first, I was actually, at first I didn't realize what was going on. When I got my teaching evaluations back for the fall of 2018, I looked at them and I was like, whoa, these people just hate me. And it actually just kind of hurt my feelings. And I didn't understand what was going on. Then I started running into some of these little racist incidents that I was having around Kansas City. And even people in outside of Kansas City, Lafayette County, specifically, one place being. And then I would have people that I had met in Kansas City, and they would tell me, oh, yeah, and they would say it casually, yeah, this person's racist, that person's racist. And then I realized, oh, there's some racism going on here. And sure enough, it has been shown in studies that college teaching evaluations, they tend to be sexist, they tend to be racist, and they tend to be ableist to some extent. So with that said, when I got my teaching evaluations back in the spring of 2019, I looked at them in a new prism, and I was like, there's some racial bias in this. There just is. And so what I'm asking you all to do is meet me halfway. That's what I'm asking you all to do. And what I mean about meeting me halfway is, I'm going to be black, and that's just how it is. And so there's going to be nuances to my communication. There's going to be different things that I do, different ways that I present, different ways that I look because I'm black. And so I want y'all to be thinking about that. I want y'all to just consider if I intimidate you, don't automatically assume that it's me. Think about yourself and self-reflect as well. Does he intimidate me because he's black and I've never had a black teacher before? Does he use words that I'm not used to hearing? Culturally, does his delivery just come off differently and things like that? Just be reflective and make sure that what's happening isn't the result of your bias. It's really, if you ding me for what I do, then by all means, ding me for what I do. But please don't ding me because you're uncomfortable with who I am. I would encourage you instead to try to get comfortable with who I am because we're both human. And when I say meet me halfway, just know that I am doing the same. I soften my approach, basically. I'm not too proud to admit that I do my best Wayne Brady impersonation when I'm teaching, because I realize that, hey, these people are not used to black people and they're not going to be comfortable the way that I was and the way that I had to be in the South, because there's a certain way you have to be to survive as a black person in the rural South, which is where I grew up. But, and again, white people were fine with that when I was teaching at University of South Carolina, but I've noticed University of Missouri students, not so much. They don't understand it. It's new to them. It weirds them out, makes them uncomfortable. So I've tried to adjust my delivery based on my audience. So I have come to this halfway point, and again, I'm going to ask y'all to meet me halfway, okay? And if we both are willing to do the work, then I feel that that helps us get to a better position. Now, I have had some of my more liberal students even tell me, you shouldn't have to change yourself to deal with people's racism. And I get that. I really do, and I appreciate that. But what I'm going to say to that is this. There are, and I hate to pick on New Yorkers, but I'm going to right now. So in the South, there are a lot of people who move from up north. They move from New Jersey, New York, wherever, and they move to the Carolinas. And when they do, they move to the Carolinas and then they talk trash about the Carolinas. Oh, these people are slow, they're stupid, all these things. And it's like, we like the way we live. We like the slower pace that we have. We don't want North Carolina to be New York. So don't try to turn North Carolina into New York. Don't try to turn us into what you left. Go back if that's what you want. So I see the Midwest as the same thing. Yeah, there's some things about the Midwest that I frankly just do not like. And the race relations here, quite frankly, are one of the things that I don't like about Missouri. But, I'm here. And so I figure, hey, I'm here. I'm not going to ask this place to change for me. I'm going to, within reason, make some adjustments toward this place that I'm in. Okay. So, I want y'all to be just kind of aware of that and just know that, I am human and I am a caring person. I am somebody, I cry and I laugh and I do all these human things and everything like that. And so, I want y'all to just feel comfortable reaching out to me, feel comfortable, if I communicate a little different from what you're used to, take that as a growing situation, because one thing that I'm also going to tell you is there are a lot of black people in leadership roles in libraries throughout the country. And so let's say that, yeah, you grew up in some small all-white town in Missouri, but then let's say that you want to work in Kansas City, or you want to work in St. Louis, or some of these other places in the Midwest. You want to work in Topeka or Wichita or Tulsa or Chicago, wherever, Detroit, wherever. Just know that they're going to be black supervisors, and they may be different from what you're used to in your all-white town in Missouri or Kansas, okay? And you've got to learn how to adjust. And so if learning how to adjust, if the first step of learning how to adjust is learning how to adjust to me, that's fine. That is part of your educational experience, and I am willing to help you grow through that, okay? So, yeah, I want you to build a rapport with me, be comfortable with me, and know that we really are in this together, okay? And yeah, so we are at that 2-hour mark, so I'm going to leave it right there. I am Dr. Jason. This is the beginning of your marathon race this summer, but you're going to make it through it. Please stay in the class, and I guarantee you will, if you suffer through these next 2 months in the accelerated pace of this class, you'll be happy that you got this monkey off your back. So let's do it. Let's get to work. Let's have a successful summer. And I will see you next week. I'll see you in the class with more announcements and with responses to some of your discussion board prompts. But then, discussion board posts, I'm sorry. But then also, I'll see you also next week with a new check-in video. So I am Dr. Jason. This is the beginning of the race. Take care.